We're going to get started in about 7 minutes. See you soon. Oh, I'll fix that. Shawty is a trainee. Yeah. Bum-ba-dee-dum. What am I doing? I mean, other than you guys. I don't know what it was. Not important, I guess. I was gonna make sure the computer was plugged in. It's done. All right, guys. Let's see here. I believe the one is just me, so I don't think anyone's joined yet. I know that Lou was having issues with his last streaming being cut off. You know, we're still working actively to get that resolved. I'll probably repeat this a couple times because I'll wait for someone to get here to get started, or at least I'll wait, 5 minutes. So 7:05, real time. If you're watching this again 5 minutes from now, sorry for the delay. Just, hey, skip ahead 5 minutes. Okay. But yeah, Lou was having issues before because before dance mechanics, he has a class that he does at 6:15. And it is it's bar class. He does dance or bar fitness, which is a great class, actually. I've done that a couple of times, more than a couple of times, quite a bit. And I did that a lot before this whole quarantine was going on. But now I don't do it. I need to take it at home. What am I saying? But then I wouldn't have time to prepare for you guys. And a lot more goes into preparation for these videos than it does at the studio. Speaking of that, in these, I'm going to do things a little bit differently starting next month with some of these classes. This month, I'm kind of treating them a little bit like they were treated at the studio. So how I did things there was whoever showed up, that's how I would base my instructions for the class. If 3 beginners showed up, we'd teach or focus on more beginner technique or teach more beginner steps. If more advanced people showed up, we'd do the more advanced stuff. If there's a mix, we'd meet somewhere in between. But we don't really have that situation going on here when we're doing online. So it's going to have to be more of a, here's the criteria of the subject, and just learn it at home. Maybe we'll be able to add in some cool tools along the way. One of the tools that you can absolutely and you should take advantage of is the Perfect Partner X-Fest. My wife and I are telling everybody, as we all have been, especially now when you're stuck at home, there's really no reason not to be utilizing something that brings such awareness to your dancing. And I guess also, seeing as how you're not going to be, everybody has fitness regimens. I was going to say that seeing as how you're not able to run rounds with your partners, you'd be able to get your workout in still. But, you can get your workout in lots of different ways. Yes, it's different. It's not the same muscles as if you're working out doing your dancing, which means then in that scenario, get the damn perfect partner and practice with it as much as you can, because it does feel then you're actually working out the muscles that we use for dancing. You're targeting and conditioning those muscles specifically. So that's a great way to take advantage. Obviously, these any videos, lots of people are streaming videos. I know Viva in Cleveland, they're doing some stuff on Facebook. Tony Shepler's doing stuff with them, and so is Katie Fox. I saw a couple videos. They seem pretty cool. Toledo, I swear I saw Gil. I think it's the Toledo Ballroom Company. I think I saw them doing something. I know that Kristen Rummel in Toledo, she's doing a class for kids. But everyone, there's lots of them out there. Everyone's doing it. We're all stuck indoors, so everyone's trying to find a way to continue working. So still no one here. I'm blabbering on as much as I can here. 7:05. So I'll start just with the introduction here. So this is dance mechanics. What we do in dance mechanics is focus on teaching you what and how to use in your body when you're dancing American Rhythm. American Rhythm is, for those that don't know, American Rhythm is a style of, or category, let's say, either one is fine, of dances, multiple dances, in ballroom dancing as a whole, the ballroom dancing world as a whole. Now, generally speaking, if you compete, you recognize these terms because when you enter into different divisions, you have to choose which divisions you enter. So you learn what those different divisions are, and you learn the terminology. But for those of you that don't, American Rhythm is basically Latin dances, but America's version of doing so. There is 4 different styles. There are 4 different styles in professional or in ballroom dancing, the world of ballroom dancing. One is American Rhythm, the other is American Smooth, and then there are those same styles in a sense. They are different. They're very different, but the way the rest of the world dances them, which is international styles, and it's international standard and international Latin. So there's 4 styles: international standard, international Latin, American Smooth, and American Rhythm. America has its own way of doing everything, so we just basically created 2 styles that we can compete in and be the best because no one else does them. It is starting. People in the rest of the world are starting to do American styles, but that's actually pretty new. What you see on Dancing with the Stars, that would be international Latin or international standard. Well, actually, no. International Latin or American Smooth is what they dance. For the most part, that's what I see. I haven't seen every episode. And so we do American Rhythm. That's what I competed professionally. That's what I study and continue to pursue new teachings, theories, understandings, and further my development. Mostly that's what I prioritize for furthering my development in. So that's what we focus on in this class. Okay, so American Rhythm. American Rhythm is 5 different dances: cha-cha, rumba, swing, bolero, mambo. Cha-cha, rumba, swing, bolero, mambo. So we touch on a bunch of different things. Most of American Rhythm is danced with the same kind of technique or similar technique. That's what keeps it in the same category. Now, just so you're aware, sidebar, we have been experiencing some issues with the streaming thing. The whole sound has become an issue when we use music, which I won't do much of in this class. I'll just keep it real low and in the back. But if it causes problems, I'll kick it and we won't use any at all next time. But sometimes when we're using music, it distorts the sound, especially not just the music, but my voice as well. Sometimes it doesn't even need the music. Sometimes just my voice is distorted. So we're working on that. We're going to get a mic. Hopefully that will help us out. Also, we're having a few friends that have a little bit more experience with this than we do help us out to try and troubleshoot some of the other issues. One of the other issues is music. We don't have the best of music because the whole copyright issue, what the licenses we use in the studio don't actually apply to the streaming. So we're figuring that out now as well. And yeah, this is new to us, just like it is to lots of you. So we're trying to solve problems as they occur. If you think of them, please comment, let us know. And other than that, remember, these are not just live. You can go back and watch them later. So if you want to run through something or you miss it in the video, just watch afterward. All right, American Rhythm, dance mechanics. So usually what we do in class is I just do a breakdown of everything, and then I watch everyone, and then based off of what I see, I pick the drills that we all need to focus on, and then we repeat those drills. So that won't work here. So I'm going to kind of, last week what I did was just kind of a sum up of all of the technique of American Rhythm. I'm going to continue to do that today to try and push the knowledge portion of training ballroom dancing. So that way, when I do start next month, which will be much more like I was saying before, like a course or a subject, you'll have criteria that you'll do that will building blocks that will add up to a final result as far as class goes. Obviously, we always need to continue our education, not just our mental education, but our body's education for dance as well. Okay, so what we will do today, like I said, I will continue to explain American Rhythm. Hopefully you'll be able to get a bigger picture from this. And then next month, the way we'll do it is the first week, I'll start off with beginner level type mechanics. And then we'll build from there. It'll get more in detail as we go. But yeah, I'll save all that for then. And tonight, let's just continue on our pursuit of understanding all of American rhythm. Forgive me, I have a bad leg at the moment, or hip at the moment, but this should stretch it out. Okay. Probably can't even hear the music. That's all right. All right, so American rhythm. Last week I kind of just jumped into it and started with the hips. One of the reasons is because everybody does the hips, and also I was just going randomly at it. But really, usually where we start is we start talking about the knees. The reason we start talking about the knees is because it's odd to walk to a bent knee, and that's what we have to do. So we have to get you comfortable with that idea, and being good at walking to a bent knee will make it much easier to then build on top of. It will be a nice foundation for you. So, not to mention that also the bent knee in American rhythm is pretty much the only thing that everyone can agree is what's supposed to happen. Even if they don't do it, they'll say it's supposed to happen. So, okay, bent knees. How do we do that? Pretty simple. At first, I'll just demonstrate a few things, and then we'll break it down so you have some multiple drills to attack the progress, no matter which problem you're having. So we want to land to a bent knee. What does that mean? Mostly it matters when. When do we land to a bent knee? Because we're not just going to walk around bent knees the whole time. What we mean when we say land to a bent knee is when the foot that you're picking up and moving lands on the floor. At the moment that it lands on the floor, that's when your knee has to be bent. Now, just so you're aware, every moment after that, you're straightening your knee. Your goal is to get your leg straight. That is the goal. So you want to pick the foot up, and as you're moving it to place the foot, make sure instead of extending the foot out in front of the knee, which will cause a straightening, leave the foot underneath the knee and let your knee go out in front and let your body weight just kind of fall and catch to a bent knee. You can do this in place too. It might make it easier. So in a marching sense, you'll pick the knee up and then put it to the ground. Now, when you put it to the ground, don't straighten it. Pick it up and then let it fall to a bent knee. If you see me from the front here, I kind of let my body weight fall over it. That helps me keep it bent. Because as soon as I bring my body weight fully over that leg, I naturally want to straighten the leg just because it feels more natural. That's what we do. So we're going to pick that foot up again. I'm using my left foot. You can use your right. It really doesn't matter. But when that foot's in the air, as you're placing it to the ground, keep the knee bent and do not extend the foot out in front. So then just use your body weight to fall to that bent knee. Now from here, you can straighten that leg. As you're straightening your leg, you will get all of your weight over that foot. And then we can repeat the same process. So if we're doing a box step, you can go to the side. That probably won't be as easy to follow though, watching me from there. So I'm just going to do forward walk again. So we're going to do the same thing with that foot that's moving in the air. We're not going to extend the foot out in front. We're going to keep it underneath the knee, let our weight fall, and catch to a bent knee. Then we're going to straighten that leg. So having a good knee, landing to a knee is a great foundation for the next thing we want to work on, which is the ankle. So before I get really in detail on the ankle, let's make the knee a little bit prettier. So I am going to do the box step really because I am in a small space and I want to be able to keep moving and not have to turn around. So you guys are going to go back with your right foot and never mind. You're going to go back with your right foot. I'll just turn around and talk to you here. So we're going back with the right foot. Ooh, scratch that. We're going to go forward with the left foot. Just so you are aware, when you start dancing a box, if you're dancing it in rumba or waltz, either way, the follower, generally speaking, starts with the right foot going back, and the leader, generally speaking, starts with the left foot going forward. We're all going to do left foot going forward here just because we're doing mechanics. It doesn't really matter who's playing what part. So going forward with the left foot. So now the left foot's in the air, and that's the one that's got to be bent when we place the foot on the ground in front of us for a forward walk. So we place the foot and let our body weight fall to that foot. Now we can straighten that leg. Now another thing we want to remember is that, I think I mentioned this last time, you can have one bent leg and one straight leg, And you can have two straight legs, but you cannot have two bent legs. So now what I'm going to do, what I mean by that, is after that foot that we're picking up, we're going to go to the side this time. After we use our body weight while we keep the foot from extending and land to the bent knee, we then want to get to two straight legs rather than bending the opposite leg as we straighten the one that's bent currently. So visually speaking, we just landed here. We want to straighten this and keep this leg straight as we do so. So if you're doing the same footwork as I am, you've fallen over to that right foot. It's still bent. And now as you're straightening the right leg, you're keeping the left leg straight as well. Then you can repeat the same process. You're going to pick that left foot up off the ground, and then you're going to close your feet together this time. Make sure when you put your feet on the ground, the left knee is still bent, so use your body weight to fall over top of it. Now you can straighten that left leg, but keep in mind, keep the right leg straight as you straighten. So you have two straight legs now. Then we're going to go to the next step, going back with the right foot. We pick that right foot up. Back steps are very difficult. So for now, we're going to take almost like a together step, but with an inch, but taking a together step an inch backward, let's say. So together, but slightly back. And I'm going to use my body weight to fall over the foot so I can maintain that bent knee. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you do that, make sure that you're keeping your left leg straight at that time as well. Don't pick this foot up and then bend this knee of the standing leg is what we'll call it, whichever leg your weight is currently, the majority of your weight is on, that's your standing leg. You don't want to bend that as you're trying to fall to the bent knee on the next step. This is a bad thing, what I just did. You want to keep that leg straight as you place the knee back. And that's why for now, we're going to place it really small and almost like a together step. It will make that much easier, because back steps are very difficult. So now that right leg is bent, and we're going to straighten it. As we straighten it, we're going to keep the left leg straight as well. So then we're going to end up with two straight legs again. Then we can go ahead and bend the leg that we want to move. Make sure we use our weight to move our body, and then catch ourselves with that bent knee underneath. Now we got one bent over here, and we got one straight over here. We're going to straighten the one that's bent and keep the one that's straight while we do that. Then we can go ahead and release that foot. It will be the right foot again, continuing to the box, closing your feet, using your body weight to place the foot so that it's bent, keeping the standing leg straight, and then straighten and find two straight legs. Picking the left foot up, landing to a bent knee. We get the idea. You can rewind this and watch it over and over again later if you need to. So there are many negative effects that can happen from doing this drill. Obviously, what I'm doing right now, you don't look at it and go, oh, that's sexy. I want to dance like that. It's not supposed to be. We're focusing on one mechanic, one simple piece that we use in many, an intricate system of many pieces. So that being said, this doesn't look good. This is just supposed to prepare you to look good. So the bent knee, you got to land to that bent knee. That allows you to then straighten. Also, just to make this easy at home, you can practice with your feet together. I'm going to turn it at an angle here. So I'm going to use my right foot pickup and place it down flat foot and a bent knee. And then I'm going to straight to two straight legs. Then I pick up the opposite foot, place it down to a bent knee, and then I go to two straight legs. This is a helpful drill just because you don't have to think about where you're sending your feet, which allows you to get more repetitions of the mechanics themselves rather than getting, 3 reps of bending and straightening because you in a minute because you had to think in between each of them about where to send your foot. So here you just get to place your foot together constantly over and over and just focus on when you place that foot, keeping the knee bent and the other leg straight, and then straightening that two straight leg position. And then the foot that's going to walk is going to bend while the other leg stays straight. That's our standing leg that we're standing on. The foot in the air is then going to place itself while we maintain the straight leg on our standing leg to a bent knee on the stepping foot, and then we straighten to two straight legs. And just repeating this action over and over and over and over and over and over. Even now, as I speed up here, it can start to naturally when we all speed up, but even visually speaking, it can look like I'm no longer hitting two straight legs. I'm just doing knee, knee, knee. It's a subtle difference, and you really won't notice the difference visually until you've trained it in your body to recognize what it is. So you might not notice it on the competition floor, but it will. Other people will. The coaches will. The judges will. And also, most importantly, understanding how everything works is how you are going to create the most progress and get the best results with your dance training. Okay, so we have bent knees. We do that because we want to work on the ankle. So now, to work on the ankle, we're going to hiatus the knee for a second. 2 straight legs. We don't want to deal with any other actions other than the ankle. So we're going to isolate that ankle. If we were to do literally just the ankles and nothing else, the easiest way to do this would be to bring our feet together and just roll up to the balls of our feet and then lower right back down. Roll up to the balls of your feet and then lower right back down. It's not as realistic as in the sense that it's not realistic in the sense that we don't usually have our weight on both of our feet when we're using that action when we're dancing. Usually we're on one foot and we're using that action. Yeah, much more difficult. But still, what the tools you would have to learn to control to be able to go up on one foot and control this, well, it's just continuing to work out the body and you're conditioning those muscles that we use for dancing. So the more you're willing to stand there and train how to be balanced as you use that one leg ankle, the better off you're going to be. And it's a good workout too. So that being said, you can do either of those as a way to get yourself familiar with what it feels like to do the ankle. If it's too difficult to balance on the one leg, don't worry about it. Just do 2 and balance there. It's better to be successful than it is to do a bunch of different shit poorly. Okay, so we have the ankle isolated there, but now let's put it a bit more into play, make it a little more realistic as to how we'll use it. So let's do the straight legs, one foot in front of the other. It can be left or right. You might want to use your left. That way we're kind of mirroring one another. But if you want to use your right, that's fine too. Either one will work. So the back leg, that's the leg that we're going to use the ankle of. So we need this front foot to be very flat and this leg, both legs really, to be straight. We don't want to be tempted to mess with our knees as we're trying to use our ankles. And if our knees are bent at all, it will make it very hard to maintain stillness in our knees versus when they're locked and straight, and then accessing my ankles without messing with my knees is much easier because I don't have to maintain that angle. It's locked in. Okay, so we're locked in, one leg back, one leg forward. Real quick, I'm going to address the hips because they're going to help us with this with this drill. So we can swing our hips forward and back in this position. We're going to swing our hips all the way back. We want to feel as much weight on the back leg as we possibly can. Still flat foot, so not so much weighted back here that I'm now off this foot and just like pointing with my toe or even standing back here. Although, yes, we don't want to be completely off this foot. It is a split weight position. Just the majority of your weight is towards that back leg. So now we're going to access that back leg's ankle. We're just going to stretch and flex the ankle up as high as we can. Remember, this is the same drill that we did when we were just using our ankles. What I mean, why I specify that is because usually when we start moving, we start adding in pieces that sometimes we are aware of, sometimes we're not aware of, but either way, they're not supposed to be there. So we want to keep this isolated so that we can be as picky and learn and understand how our body works before we start demanding what to do with our body. So that's why we isolate this and try to listen just to that one piece. Straight legs, hips all the way back, giving us some nice weight pressure into that back leg, which allows us to really push the ankle into the ground, which causes a lifting or push the ball foot into the ground, which causes a lifting of the ankle. When you push into the ground, do not swing your hip forward. It's just like any other joint or any other action in the body. We want to be isolating just the ankle. So if you allow this hip to swing, you're going to then manipulate the way that you isolate your ankle. I want you to feel the full range of movement that you can get out of your ankle. And I also want you to continue doing this exercise to condition the ankle so that you can get a bigger range of movement, wider, whatever. So again, we're flexing that back ankle And you'll notice also that if you think about keeping the hip back as you flex the ankle, it will make it much easier to flex the ankle. You'll feel like you have way more ankle to flex, as does getting the right amount of weight distribution as well. If you're too far forward, trying to flex the ankle won't make a lot of sense. Bringing your hip weight all the way back to that foot will give you a lot of pressure in that back leg, which will make it feel much more correct. And controllable, most importantly. So we have that ankle. So how does this fit in with the knee? So really, if we added the two drills together, we took that bent knee, we lifted it in the air. This is the stepping foot. We're balancing on this standing leg that is straight. And while that standing leg is straight, the stepping foot, we use our body weight to move, to place the weight to it. And we're going to keep that straight leg straight as we do so. Now we're going to flex that ankle of that back leg. Now, when we did this drill before, we had a straight leg. It's easier to do it with a straight leg because, like we said before, we were isolating that and just focusing on that one movement. So because we're only focused on one movement, we actually do that movement very well. As soon as we have to do multiple movements, you're going to do them poorly. It is how it works. It doesn't matter how much you try to focus on both at the same time. That's how it works. One will be worse if you add in another. So, but you still have to do it. Yeah, I know. Crazy, right? So we're going to flex the ankle of the left leg, or if it's your back leg, let's just say. It doesn't matter which one it is. And as you flex that ankle, you're going to have to straighten this leg. So really what this would bring up in my mind is that, I need to learn how to isolate straightening my leg. So I would just be frozen in this position here and not access the ankle and just learn how to straighten my knee without it tampering with other pieces of my body. Now, I don't think that this isolation is so important to practice or train in your body as much as it is to make you aware that it's very likely that when you think of straightening your leg, you do a lot more than just straighten your leg. So learning how to access that will be very helpful when you want to tell yourself in the middle of doing 8 million other things to straighten your leg. Because when the system's built all together like this one is, as soon as one piece doesn't function correctly, the rest of the pieces then have to take on, there's repercussion for that. So we're flexing that ankle from the foot behind, the front leg's bent, and we're going to harmonize these two actions together. So as you press the ankle, you're going to straighten the knee. Very important here to use the hip, keep the hip back like we said to before. If you start to bring the hip forward while you do this, you're going to find that you're trying to balance on your feet. If you keep your hip back as you press that ankle and just slowly straighten the knee, by the time it's straight, your hip should still be back. Then you can swing the hip afterward, which leads us into hip swing. Now, also you'll notice that like the way that all looked there, even though I was adding pieces together, still didn't look sexy. What the heck is going on? That's okay. It doesn't look sexy until probably you get about 4 or 5 pieces in there. And then, you know what? It's just starting to look sexy. It'll start to feel way better, though. You probably feel awesome in the beginning because you're oblivious. And this all goes in different stages, and it cycles back through continuously. Then after you feel awesome, you'll realize, oh, crap, I am not doing a bunch of things if you actually stick with it. Then you'll think, man, I'm crappy. I've been dancing for so long. How have I not done these things? And then this will happen again and again and again and again and again. That being said, like I originally started saying, I don't want you to look the way I just did either. As you add these things together with other pieces, the concept of the step will be bigger. I won't be here. I would have been much wider in my stance. The wideness of that stance would make this, I'm trying to get the white wall behind me, the position of this hip look much better, not look so, as you see here, kind of like, I don't know, I don't like the look of it, versus a wider stance here in a more clearer, defined shape. But that will happen in time as you increase your skills and understanding of the mechanics. So let's say we're talking about hips though. We need to get to the hips. I only have 30 minutes and I got to get to hips, ribs, and lats. Okay. Not to mention, I'll do it now. Posture always stays up. That's all you get about posture this time. Spine stays erect the whole time. Spine will only make sense once you have all the other dance mechanics working in harmony. So the spine can truly play its part. Okay, going to the hip swing. In order to do that, we had to have done the first two pieces perfectly. One was the placing of the bent knee. Wow, we did that, kept the back leg straight. Our front leg is bent. Now we're going to utilize that back leg's ankle. We're going to stretch it, and we're going to keep the hip back as we do so, and we're going to time stretching the ankle with straightening the knee. Now here, because we kept the hip back, we can swing the hip forward. That's going to take your weight off that foot. When you take your weight off that foot, you shouldn't just let it die out or bend the knee. You should continue to keep that leg straight and the foot on the floor to help anchor you down as you're swinging off of it. This hip swing will feel so much different once you get a wider stance. So rather than pretend that you can just do a wider, I don't know how to say it. We're going to start with a wider stance. I'm not going to wait for you to be able to do the skills to do or to train to do all those other things at one time so you can land in the wider stance. We're just going to start with it so that we can work on the hips, continuing to isolate each piece, doing those isolated pieces the best that we can and learning the most about them so that when it comes time, again, to put them all together, we are aware of what pieces we're putting together and we can be more conscious and picky and specific about how our pieces work. So hip swing. Let's go to two straight legs again. Let's just go ahead and swing the hip forward and back. We want the hip to be, okay, specifically, if you're going to think of the hip's destination, I would say the hip's destination is to swing over the next ball of the foot. So when you're swinging your hip to and from, forward and back, side to side, either one, you don't want to just be la-di-da-di-da-di-da. Because when you do that, we actually tend to put our butt out and swing our weight throughout our heels, which you're not going to be able to do. Actually, a guy might be able to do, or someone wearing flats, because you have that fat, chunky heel there to balance your weight. But you're not going to be able to do if you're moving correctly, because that's not where our weight's at when we're moving correctly, and it isn't for a reason. You don't have to know why, but if your heels are on the ground and you're putting your weight into them, you're doing it wrong. So not 100% of the time. There are exceptions, especially in open choreography. But generally speaking, that's the rule. And also, just to add a note there, I have taught many people to put weight into their heel for certain things many times to solve other issues. So I'm not attacking anybody out there who says put weight into your heel. So, don't want to start that far. So anyway, swinging of the hips. When you're swinging this hip, if you want to be picky and specific, you should think about swinging the hip over the ball of the foot. This is because eventually when you swing your hip, we needed to access the ankle, which we talked about. And in order to feel comfortable rolling up on the balls of our feet, our hip has to be aligned over top of it. If I'm wanting to roll up to the ball of my foot and my hip's over here to the side, it's just not going to feel natural to do so. Not that any of this stuff feels natural, but there is definitely a most efficient way to accomplish anything. So, and everything. So when we're swinging our hip, eventually when we're swinging to and from, we're not just swinging to finish the weight change, which is what it will start off as, because you'll start off working that ankle and landing to the bent knee, then working the ankle to straighten the leg, and we'll have you keeping your weight back so much with that hip, because it's very important that you do so, that really at first swinging the hip forward just is going to stand out to you as, if you haven't done it much, as, oh, that's when my weight change happens, or when I shift my weight forward, however you want to say it. That's fine. That's how it can start. But eventually what happens is, and this is a common thing, most people get stuck here. They never solve this problem. From here, they then pick this back foot up and start walking with this foot here. Now, I know I gave you that drill in the beginning to pick this leg up and keep it bent and land to the bent knee, but that's literally just to create the foundation of landing to a bent knee. That is such a bad thing to see when you're dancing. As I said before, it didn't look pretty. It's only there for us to learn how to control and as a stepping stone to get to looking pretty. So that being said, what most people do, like I said, is they'll swing their hip, but they can't get all the way over this. They never get all the way over that foot. The main reason is because, I swear, I don't know if I've had anybody teach me this specifically. I know people do it when they dance, but anyway, the main reason is because they don't let the hip swing access the standing leg's ankle. So in this moment when you're swinging your hip, the ankle will begin to lift up off the ground. So if you're doing this slow, you should be making sure that you're engaging your muscles together to create that live action type of feeling. So Swinging the hips. Going away from, you don't have to worry now about getting your hip to create the swing in your ankle. We'll do more drills for that we did last week. We'll come back to make it make more sense in your mind. Don't worry, we're going to do all this stuff over and over again. It's the same stuff. There's only 6 different pieces, and we constantly use them over and over and over again. So, all right. We've done the bent knee, landed to it. We've straightened it by pressing the ankle behind. The hip swings back. Now, when we swing this hip forward, whoa, we want to start, like we said, first start with just letting your weight go all the way forward. Now, I'm going to talk about a few sensations here. If my hip bone's all the way up back here and my ball of the foot is actively pressing on the ground, that will make it much easier for me to keep my balance and my hip up. And by actively pressing, I don't mean like, oh, I found my balance one time and now I'm trying to balance holding that position. I mean actively working to get more and more out of this. Like right now, like I can get higher, I can get higher, I can get higher, I can get higher. That's what's going to get you still. So, sorry, I had to take a break. So, that being said, if you can, when you're doing the, and we're going to take the knee out, I'm going to take it out. If you don't want to, that's fine. But if this feels like it's beginner stuff for you, but you're just kind of learning some stuff or adding, changing, manipulating, going back through, reminding, all that, then keep the knee if you want. But if you're a beginner or this is brand new to you, then straighten the legs so that we can continue to isolate and not be distracted by other things. So straight legs, swing the hip bone all the way back, access that ankle again. Now, what I want you to feel is that when you're using your ankle, you can get all the way up to the ball of the foot. It may start with just, I'm going to turn so you see. It may start with just, you might not be able to get all the way to the ball of the foot. Maybe that's as high as you can get. But the more you continue to lift that hip and press that ankle up and keep your weight back, don't let your weight, to do this, don't bring your weight forward. This is not worth it. This sacrifice is definitely not worth it. So keep the weight back. That will also keep it easier. That will keep you aware of where your hip is more because you're pulling your spine into your hip and it almost creates like a wall, your hip does, for you to push your spine back into, which is good. So you have this straight legs for me. If you want to be bent in the front, that's fine. The hip swing is all the way back and it's over the ball of the foot. I'm pressing that ankle up, my weight staying back as I do this. Now, when I swing my hip weight forward, keep thinking about the pressure here. You're going to feel the hip swing, roll your ankle in to the inside edge ball of your foot. And actually here, I'm still not fully over my front leg, so I have to keep swinging this hip forward, and I'm going to keep my toe on the ground. That's when my balls of the feet come off the ground, and now it's just my toe. And that's that point that everybody works hard to create. It's actually behind us, not out in front of us. So the point goes behind us. If you're really controlling this well, you can go and you can acknowledge the breaking of the ankle there too. So if you get that hip bone back and you flex that ankle all the way and you're swinging, you feel it roll into the inner edge ball of the foot. Eventually you'll almost be blocked here. You have to get your hip bone further, the front part of your hip bone further over the ball of the foot in front. That will take you off your ball of your foot. Now continue swing that forward over in the front hip forward over the ball of the foot to get to the point back there. And in that moment, when you're rolling off the ball of the foot, that's when your ankle caves in and breaks. Mine doesn't do it really well, whatever. But that's the moment when that happens. It's not that big visually when you see it, but that's what's happening when I'm finishing my swing and keeping my pressure behind. Then I also have more control here to continue swinging up to lift into that next step. Woo! Oh my God, we're over. Of course we're over. So I didn't get to upper body today. All I did today was all of your lower body. It just, when you work your upper body with your lower body, you will, it will make your lower body feel different. So enjoy this. Next month we start from ground zero, do some of the stuff we did today, but I'll explain the criteria at the beginning of each week. And each week we'll add in something new, like I said, building blocks. I'll see you next week. If you guys are having fun, please sign up for next month's classes. You can do so at startdancing.org. The sign up page has sign up options for, I believe, all of our classes. Not all of our classes. For the fitness package, which includes all of the fitness classes, which Dance Mechanics is in. We do it each week, along with there's bar fitness, dance fitness, and there's a conditioning and stretch class and a jazz fitness or a jazz class as well, a classic jazz class. So there's a couple other things in the fitness package that are really fun. You should check them out. Or if you want to just do dance mechanics, we don't currently have the option online to do just one class, but we are going to fix that as soon as possible. Email us if you're eager to get that. And if not, hopefully we will get it to you before you are too eager. Okay, thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.